Millions of people suffer from sleep disorders every year. It's estimated that 30% of the population has some sleep-related issue, but half of those go undiagnosed. Sleep disorders and sleep deprivation, a study conducted by the Institute of Medicine of the National Academies, say sleep-related problems cost the nation hundreds of billions of dollars every year in medical expenses, lost productivity, and accidents. These statistics are alarming, especially when one considers the air travel industry. Fatigue has been a major issue in numerous aviation accidents over the years and is a continuing problem facing airline crews.
Fatigue is one of the #1 issues right now in aviation. Fatigue is a safety concern for pilots, air traffic controllers, flight attendants, and maintenance.
Lori Brown is a faculty specialist to the College of Aviation Department of Flight Sciences at Western Michigan University and is also the lead researcher for the Crew Safety and Security Research Team.
I teach systems from advanced aircraft, a CRJ regional jet, all the way up to a 777 aircraft, from electrical systems, hydraulic systems, power plant systems, things of that nature. I also draw upon my background as a commercial pilot and an airline transport pilot by teaching our commercial pilot ground school airline flight operations. I also teach aviation meteorology, which goes over all the meteorology theory as well as go, no-go decision factors.
Drawing from many years of experience as an airline pilot herself, Professor Brown has a first-hand understanding of the impact fatigue has on flight crews every day.
As pilots, we have very specific mandated crew rest requirements and flight time limitations, as well as the flight attendants. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't realize the exact length of days that we can legally encounter as pilots, up to 15 hours a day, with a rest of 9 hours, which can be reduced down to 8 hours of rest. That 8 hours of actual rest is block to block, from the time I bring the airplane in until the time I leave with the airplane the next day. A lot of that 8 hours is not dedicated to sleep. Some of that time is used to gather flight bags, do a post-flight inspection, wait for a hotel van, check in a flight, probably try to unwind a little bit, possibly try to get some dinner, and then go to sleep. In the morning, part of that rest is lost by, again, getting ready for the flight, checking out of the hotel, traveling to the airport, and getting ready to the pre-flight operations and things of that nature. So in the aviation world, we have a saying that 8 hours of required rest actually is at the most 5 hours of sleep. And this is the same for pilots and flight attendants.
In an already highly demanding field, lack of sleep only further exacerbates stress levels, and stress is a main factor adding to the symptoms of fatigue. Unfortunately, after 9/11, safety precautions have only increased the levels of stress on airline crews.
Fatigue has long been an issue for aviation, whether it's maintenance, a shift worker working all night, a pilot or a flight attendant flying across many time zones. These issues were magnified after 9/11. Many things changed after 9/11. One thing that's changed in particular is the replacement of the cockpit door. We now have what's called a fortress door. And the fortress door actually stays closed. If the flight attendants have a security breach or something of that nature, they really are left on their own in the back to handle this. And this has added a psychological and a physical stress, and further separating the two groups between the pilots and the flight attendants. And what we've found that these stresses have added to the fatigue of the job. In addition to this, in our lean economic times, we're finding that the reduced rest requirement, which was originally designed for an exceptional, has now become really the norm.
And because reduced rest has become the norm, new and innovative technologies are being explored to help mitigate some of the symptoms of fatigue.
It's very common for crews to have their rest reduced down to 8 hours. So we're dealing with more stress in a post-9/11 environment, and we're actually getting less rest, which has increased the fatigue among the crews. And this is where light therapy may be a good possibility to help counteract some of the effects of fatigue among the crews. We're very limited on what prescriptions or drugs, even natural ones that we may be able to take because of our drug testing requirements. So the use of natural remedies such as the light therapy may be a viable option to increase safety and improve productivity. So in an effort to research countermeasures to mitigate fatigue, I came across some of the work that's been done in the area of light therapy and started looking in to see if this might be a possibility to help mitigate fatigue and jet lag among crews. When I started looking into light therapy and researching different companies, I came across NatureBright. So I sent an email to NatureBright just introducing myself and telling them about my interest in possibly using this light therapy for a full-blown research project. I was very happily surprised when I received an answer the following day on email from the president of the company, Mr. Joshua Chen. And Mr. Chen at that time had offered to send me a few lights to try out on myself. I was very pleasantly surprised when I tried the SunTouch light box. A few weeks after that, I was traveling to California to make a presentation, ironically, on fatigue, mitigations for fatigue for flight attendants. And I met Mr. Chen. At that time, he expressed an interest in this type of collaborative project and actually offered to supply the entire university with the sky effect lights. In an effort to go in that direction, we did start using the lights at the College of Aviation in one of the classrooms to get some preliminary results to help us develop a further study.
NatureBright sky effect lights are a high-lux light that simulates natural daylight. Unlike standard T8 fluorescent lamps, which give off an almost yellow, dull light, sky effect lights are brighter and more energy efficient.
What the students have conveyed in the preliminary survey results is they feel brighter, they feel uplifted when they come into the classroom, that they would like to see the lights in other classrooms throughout, not just our college, but the university. Some of the students have indicated they could see a use for the lights in the library, also their dorm rooms, possibly briefing rooms and faculty offices. I think one of the main attributes to the lights would be the increase in focus and concentration, overall feeling of well-being and staying awake.
In this classroom, I feel much more alert and it's easier to pay attention. Other classes might get drowsy and kind of space out. And this one, it's really easy just to stay focused on the topic.
I know in my long classes, I kind of get really sleepy toward the end. It's kind of doze off, but I've had 2 classes in this one and I don't have any problems with that. It's much more bright and keeps me awake and focusing a lot better.
My preliminary results show over 95% of the students have indicated that they've found positive effects of the lights, that the lights do give them more concentration or focus or just a better feeling as they walk into the room as compared to the traditional lights that they might have in a college classroom.
Success in the classroom setting is what led Professor Brown to further her research by forming a strategic partnership to conduct an extensive study on flight crews.
We partnered with NatureBright College of Aviation and the Sleep Center of the UK. Firstly, to start a pilot study with Northwest Airlines long-haul flight attendants. After we review the results of that study, our goal is to use those results to develop a wide-scale study using flight attendants, pilots, possibly air traffic controllers, and maintenance technicians to view or evaluate the efficacy of using high-lux lights to mitigate fatigue and jet lag among these professionals.
With NatureBright light therapy, the results have shown a decrease in the effects of jet lag by resetting the circadian rhythms, otherwise known as the body clock.
As a pilot or flight attendant works on a long-haul international flight, throughout that route they cross many time zones, they work very long days, very often suffer from fatigue, jet lag, stress, and have difficulty even after the flight resetting their circadian rhythms or their body clock. With the light therapy working through the receptor in their eye, they are able to recalibrate, in a sense, their body clock to minimize or decrease the effects of jet lag and thereby resetting their body clock and circadian rhythm to help them adjust to the time zone that they're on.
Because of the increase in fatigue-related incidents in the aviation industry, the Federal Aviation Administration conducted a fatigue study of their own.
Recently, the FAA has just completed a very large fatigue study with flight attendants, with over 400 flight attendants. Soon they'll be coming out with their results in a congressional report.
The study from the FAA on fatigue in the airline industry is helping bring the proper attention to this growing issue. However, extensive research projects must continue for a solution to ever be discovered.
NatureBright has offered very generously to donate all of the portable lights for a full-blown fatigue research project with flight attendants and pilots. And with the proper funding source, we could actually evaluate the efficacy of the high-lux lights for flight crews in their environment.
With strategic partnerships between the College of Aviation, the Sleep Center of the UK, and NatureBright, the proper research is finally being conducted in an effort to help reduce and alleviate flight crew fatigue in the future. NatureBright. Bright light, brighter future. To find out more, please visit naturebright.com.